Hey there, and welcome. So today we're going to talk about the first part of the course is why diets fail. And this is super important to learn what you've done in the past wrong and why you haven't made progress despite working out all the time, feeling like you're eating right or clean. And so don't skip this video. It's super, super important because you have to know what went wrong in the past to know that you're finally going to actually be able to make change moving forward and how to do it right. All right, let's dive in. Let's talk about why diets fail. And here's what we're going to cover today. It's going to be the diet cycle trap. We're going to talk about metabolic adaptation. Super, super important concept. Make sure you guys stick around for that. Nutritional deficiencies that can come from the diet cycle trap, sustainability issues, and also we're going to talk about shifting the focus. Don't mind my photo is covering up that last letter there and shifting the focus. So, warning, this is the most important video in this entire series and entire course because you have to know what went wrong in the past to know how to fix it or to know that you're actually going to be able to change and make progress moving forward. So, watch the entire video. Don't skip, don't fast forward. But, pro tip, if you want to get done quicker, you can watch the video in 2x speed. Just make sure that my voice isn't going fast enough for you to keep up. All right, first, the diet cycle trap. So the trap is extreme calorie restriction, which is promoted in media and fitness influencers and all those other people you see. It leads to temporary results and it might be fast, but long term, you're actually going to gain that weight back and then even more. And I see this a lot with people that I work with that, they lost, maybe 20 pounds in a month, but then over the course of the year, they ended up putting 40 back on. So they're 20 pounds heavier than when they even started the diet and lost that initial 20. And this is a huge trap. It's perpetuated. Don't fall into it. And like I just talked about, this is the losing gain mentality. So dieting for most people involves losing weight and then gaining weight. And it really is the reason why so many people stay stuck because they go to these extremes where they might lose 10, then they gain 15. They lose 10 and then gain 15. And so you're actually ending up worse than what you started. And this is because this is a metabolism destroyer. So when your body enters the starvation mode of being extremely calorie restricted, it's going to cling on to the fat that you have stored and it's not going to want to burn it. It's actually going to burn muscle instead. So you're going to lose muscle and you're not going to lose body fat. And this is going to help, or not help, but this is going to hurt you and leave you feeling fatigued and less toned and sculpted, despite you actually dieting and trying to lose weight. And so that's going to lead us right into metabolic adaptation. So metabolic adaptation, basically, when you eat less, it's going to slow your metabolism. So I kind of talked about it on the last slide, but restrictive dieting slows your metabolism over time because your body wants to survive. So historically and through evolution and days when food was not as plentiful as it is today, your body basically sensed calories weren't coming in, so it needed to hold on to the energy that it had in order to keep your functions going, like breathing, keeping your organs running, making sure you're able to continue walking. And so it's going to siphon the energy for that, and it's going to make your fat loss harder because it wants to hold on to those calories that it does have. And over time, if you do this for too long, it's going to wreck your metabolism, and your metabolism is going to be really, really slow. And this is where most people say, oh, my metabolism is broken or slow, or I'm too old, which is not true. There's plenty of things you can do no matter how old you are to speed your metabolism up. It just makes it harder to keep losing fat when you've restricted calories for so long. You're eating 1,000, 1,200 calories a day. And the second you go up even a little bit, you put on 5 pounds. So even if you're maintaining that deficit over time, you're going to be adapted. And it's just unsustainable. Think about holiday parties or family or friend gatherings, where you might eat your daily allotment of calories in one meal. And the second you go over and you do that, maybe a couple times over the course of a week, you're going to put on weight and it's going to be super discouraging. And this is why, the average person over the holiday season actually puts on 8 pounds because they're so calorie restricted. And then you have, holidays and if you go to multiple dinners for holidays or work events, you're going to put that weight on because each time you sit down or have a meal or you drink, you're probably taking in a lot more calories than you're used to, and that puts you in a surplus, and your metabolism has not sped up to be able to accommodate that, and so you're putting on weight. And it's slowing down. It's going to make you feel tired. It's going to make you feel hungry. You're going to feel super frustrated. And this just makes restrictive and extreme dieting really difficult to sustain long term. The other issue with extreme dieting is nutritional deficiencies. So when you look at these fad diets that are promoted like keto or carnivore, they often really miss essential nutrients and vitamins and minerals that are really going to impact your energy and health. There's so many nutrients and vitamins that come from vegetables, and phytonutrients that you don't get if you're doing something like carnivore. And on the flip side, carbs are incredibly good for energy, and you're going to miss those nutrients if you're only doing keto. So they're really missing key pieces to the puzzle by eliminating them altogether. These things typically lead to low energy. You might feel good for a little bit because it's something new. You're excited about it. You feel like you're losing weight, but then over time, your body doesn't have the sufficient nutrients that it needs, and so it's going to make you feel sluggish. You're not going to have the energy that you typically had. It's going to leave you feeling tired and really unmotivated. And then also one of the bigger issues too is just a weakened immune system. So having nutritional deficiencies, especially for a prolonged period of time, can weaken your immune system, and that's going to make you more susceptible to getting sick, chronic illness, things like that. And it's going to also make it harder and slower for you to recover, especially if you're working out, or if you get sick. And it's just a bad quality of life. So, long-term deficiencies are really going to impact those beauty things, if you will. Your skin, your hair, your nails, and just overall health. And it's just going to really impact your quality of life, feeling sluggish and not looking or feeling your best. And again, we touched on this, but sustainability, right? So the rigidness is so hard to stick to. If you're doing something that's extreme dieting or you're doing a fad diet, it's really hard to do, especially if you go out and have a social life, or, family gatherings or things like that. The rigid plans, they're just so hard to stick to. They lead to burnout, and then eventually you're going to come back the other way and you're going to lead to binge. And that all or nothing mentality when you're dieting is really a recipe for failure. It's going to promote, feelings of failure if you're, one day off, or you had a bad day, or you missed your targets, or you feel like you ate something wrong. That typically happens. And, if you do that a couple times a week, that's where people typically tend to give up. And that's really the crux of this, is that you don't want to give up. And like I said, this can lead, if you're restricting foods or telling yourself, I can't have that, I can't have that. Many people end up actually binging or overeating after extended periods of restriction because they're just craving something and telling themselves that they can't have it. But then the second they see it and they cave, they want it, and then they go all in and have a bunch of it. And the last thing is burnout over time. The lack of flexibility causes mental and physical fatigue, which is going to make you burn out again, and you're not going to diet or do anything like that moving forward. So shift the focus, right? So we talked about what not to do. Let's talk about what to do. So we want to focus on something that's sustainable and something that we could do for life, right? So fat loss for life, not just for a 12-week period or 30 days. You want to build a sustainable, balanced approach instead of chasing these quick fixes. And this is something that, people that I work with is so important because you have to have a strong foundation, and you can't just throw up a house without block on the foundation. You can't just put the sticks on the ground, if you will, or the 2x4s on the ground, because it's going to crumble. So you really need to focus on building something that's sustainable. And that's going to be, having flexibility, a balanced plan where you can eat, within reason what you want. It's going to help you enjoy your favorite foods, and you're still going to make progress toward your goals. The main thing is it's going to help you break free from yo-yo dieting and creating a lifestyle. But this number 4 here, and this is what, my clients and the people that I work with, This is what I preach all the time when we're on calls, our one-on-one calls, or our coaching calls. Consistency is greater for perfection. I'd rather you be 80% consistent for, 6 months or 12 months than 100% on target for 12 weeks and then off for the rest of the year. So consistency over time is going to be the thing that matters and where you're going to make progress. And this is why so many people fail, because you can stick to something super restrictive for so long, only so long, 30 days, and then you're going to give up and you're going to burn out, and then you stop. And then what do you do for the remaining 11 months within the year, right? So being consistent, I'd rather you hit the mark 80% of the time over 6 months or 12 months, and build that sustainable, balanced approach for yourself, rather than you just being spot on, perfect, hitting every workout, every meal, every day, for 30 days and then giving up. It's also just going to be much more enjoyable. It's going to reduce the stress. You can use that 20% of the time to still have a social life, family gatherings, holidays, work events, just going out with your spouse or friends, and not feeling tied down to, I can't eat this on the menu, or I can't eat that, I can't drink that. So this is super important to really focus and hone in on consistency over perfection. All right, so that's it for this section, and look at the worksheet below if there is one still, and let's